Good afternoon, hello. My name is Daniel. I've completed Ironman Wales twice, and I'm hoping that me sharing my knowledge and experience from those races is going to help you have the best day that you can have at Ironman Wales. Now, I didn't manage to win this race either time I've done this in 2019 and 2022, so if you're looking to do that, this might not be the video for you, but if you're looking to finish anywhere other than first, maybe it is. Now, to give you a rough idea of my ability, is that the right word? I finished it in 2019 in 11 hours 26 overall, and in 2022 I finished in 11 hours and 38 minutes overall. So pretty consistent in the mid 11 hour range, which I'm actually very happy with. Now, I'm going to share with you here some of my tips from the course. It's not absolutely everything. I'll be here for hours. There's lots of resources available online for Ironman Wales, but please do check the actual event guide for anything I say about the course or procedure. I haven't done this since last year. I don't work for Ironman. They haven't asked me to do this. So basically, if you do something wrong because of something I say in this video, it ain't my fault. Or it is, but I'm basically telling you now that it isn't. Got it? Okay, right, so let's start where all good triathlons start then, with the swim. Now, I've experienced this race in two different versions. First of all, in 2019, I swam it in 1 hour and 11 minutes, and it was a lovely swim. It was like a mill pond. It was absolutely still as anything, and it was a lovely swim. Now, you can see there that the GPS has just floated off a little bit, and I think that's just my watch rather than my actual swimming, but the swim that year was fine. Winding back just before the swim, it's a time trial start. You'll roll into the start like one after another, self-seeding your times. There is a hose pipe halfway down the zigzags at Ironman Wales. Use that, get some water down your wetsuit, get yourself acclimatized before you get in the water. Because if you do the swim one year and it is like this, where it was not like a mill pond, it was actually quite choppy, you will struggle like I struggled. I panicked, I borderline thought I was going to drown, I really struggled. The conditions weren't favourable. You see that I swam about 1 hour 16, so about 5 minutes slower, and that was difficult. The course was very similar, but you can see by the pace fluctuations, the current and the tide was difficult, and I really struggled. So prepare yourself as best you can, get some sea swimming in if you can. If you can't, go to a lake on perhaps a windy day and just get used to that. Hopefully it won't be like that on the day, but maybe it will be. Transition one. Now, what did I put on here? T1 ridiculous but best ever transition. This is mine from 2019. Moving time 8 minutes 38. Total time 10 minutes 48. Not 8 hours, 8 minutes. It's a long transition. It's about a kilometre run. So you run from the sea, you go up the zigzags. Don't forget your pink bag, and then you run into Tenby and go and get your bike from T1. T1 is absolutely bonkers. Don't run too fast. Soak it all up. Make some progress though if you're trying to race, but it is honestly absolutely crazy. I can't describe it any which way other than that. And don't forget your pink bag. Onto the bike. Now, the bike is, the T1 tips, isn't it? I'm supposed to do a tips video, aren't I? Trainers. Now, you have another pair of trainers in your pink bag if you'd like to, so you can either put those on at T1. I'd really recommend you do take a pair of trainers. It's a long way to run without them. The discussion point is always around wetsuits. Do you take your wetsuit off or do you not take it off? Now, I don't think it makes a massive difference. When I got out of the swim, the first year I felt dizzy, so I didn't stop and take it off. I just started running and walking. The second year I did it, I didn't feel dizzy, so I took it off. And I took it off and I put it around my neck and draped it down my shoulders because I tested this before the day. A wetsuit in a bag or carrying it isn't very fast to run with. A wetsuit around your neck, and then I held onto each, like the leg and the arms, and ran normally. That was actually fine to run with, and I made quite a few positions up in transition. But in the grand scheme of what is nearly a 12-hour day for me, it's neither here nor there. But let's have a look at the bike. So I'll get my 2019 ride up and 2022 because they were very different. So 2019, now for reference here, I was about 78, 79 kilos, about 10 or 12 kilos lighter than I was in 2022. I rode 5 hours and 43 minutes, a normalized power of 234 watts. That was an average speed of 19.3 miles an hour. And you can see here from the course, you basically ride out to fresh water, which is relatively flat, then come back to this easterly loop and do that big loop twice. That first section, just control it. There are little climbs in there are twists and turns in there. There'll be people coming past you, we're passing people. I've done this twice, and both times I've overcooked it on that first segment. You don't think you have until you come onto that second lap of the hilly segment, and you really, well, I've really screwed up. So I said that I had an iffy 45 minutes in the middle, but then finished strong. Great, good job, Daniel. This one, my watch read a lot more elevation than it should have done for some reason or another. 6 hours and 2 minutes, about 20 minutes slower. It was a windier day, but I've done virtually the same power. So the conditions were a bit tougher, yes, but I was also a fair bit heavier as well, and there's a lot of climbing on the course. Exactly the same thing, pace it on the way out and don't go too hard before this second big loop. Now, people always talk about on the big loop, oh, there's 2 big climbs. There's Wiseman's Bridge and Saundersfoot. So Wiseman's Bridge comes down here somewhere before Saundersfoot, and Saundersfoot is obviously near Saundersfoot. Now, they are steep, particularly Wiseman's Bridge. However, riding up to Narberth, up here, I would say is the toughest part of the course. There is support up there, but not quite as much. And it is a fairly long climb. There's 2 parts to it, fairly long climb. I definitely saved some pennies for that part, and then the rest of the course is rolling. Now, the bike course flows well. There aren't too many sharp corners. If the weather's good, the conditions are actually pretty good in terms of the tarmac is good and good surface, but just have your wits about you. There's a lot of people out on course. I don't know, it's too much of a safety brief, but it is dangerous in places. There's always people that fall off. There's always accidents that happen. Don't be one of those people if you can help it. And yeah, have a good ride. On the climbs, have a power target in mind. If you're either power or heart rate or an effort level, if you use that. Bear in mind there's going to be a lot of times that you're climbing, so I urge you to err on the side of caution. If you think, oh, okay, I normally climb at a tempo, or I don't know, 70% of my FTP or whatever, I just check it a little bit and just make sure that you've done that in training for the length of day that it's going to be for you. It is faster to ride harder up the climbs, however, it is harder to ride harder up the climbs, particularly when you've got a marathon to come afterwards. Now, the last section coming down into Tenby is mostly downhill, so you've got a few minutes to gather your thoughts before you get into transition again. And transition 2 is the same place as T1, but it's nowhere near as long because you're not running from the sea. Okay, got it. Right, let's have a look at the run. Now again, I've had 2 different runs here, and actually 2022, when I was 12 kilos heavier or so, I ran, you can see here, so 2019 around 4:13, and 2022 around 4:05. Hang on, so elapsed time 4:06, Portaloo stops, etc. And the time's 4:16, so 4:16 to 4:06. So I ran 10 minutes faster when I was like 10 kilos heavier, and let me tell you why. It's the training. The training leading up to 2022, I ran up and down hills a lot. I ran long runs a lot more. I actually trained more specifically for it, and that benefited me better. I also paced it better from memory. I hope I actually did. So in 2019, okay, I started off at a very similar pace. Alright, so maybe I didn't pace it better, but I was more within myself. I set off here, as you can see, 8.5 minute miles. That first mile out of transition is mental. The support is crazy. You'll feel like you're $1 million. You'll feel like you can run a 5-minute mile. Please don't, because you've got a long way to come. The hill. Now, the hill up and down out of Tenby, which is the main part you'll hear people talk about, it's not that steep, but it does go on for a while, and you do it 4 times. It's steep at the bottom, and then it levels off, then it goes up again a bit to the top, and then you come down a little bit and then go back up to New Hedges. I almost wouldn't worry about that top bit. The support is that crazy, you won't even think about it. The bit before that, this bit leading up here, can be a little bit more lonely. There are still spectators around, but it's just not quite as crazy as the town centre, and not quite as crazy as the bit at the top. Now, people also don't talk about the town centre. I once spoke to Lucy Gossage because she went very well at this race, and I asked her for some run course tips, and she said the bit in the town is free. You don't need to put any effort in there because the crowd will get you around, and that is absolutely true. However, it is fairly difficult still. It's twisty, it's turny, there are some cobbles, it's quite up and down. It is still tough, or it will bite you at other points of the course, and even this bit out here is a little up and down, and that is tough as well. You're going to be able to see people coming either way, and the support is great, but yeah, if we look towards the end where things don't go quite to plan, so 2019, oh, the wheels don't really fall off too bad there. 2022, very similar in fact, but my first miles are 8.5 minute miles, My last one's a 10.5. So I've really deteriorated there, which is fine, but just pace yourself and just enjoy it. I think as well, people get too hung up on what time you're going to run. This race is incredible. You're going to absolutely love it. High five people, hit the signs for more power, take on fluid, fuel and nutrition, walk down the finish line and soak up that atmosphere, really enjoy it, and don't get bitten too hard by going out too hard on that run course. And I think that is the general premise for this event for me. You've just got to conserve yourself all day to get to the finish, because to finish first you've got to finish. If you've got any more Ironman Wales tips, please do let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm sure other people watching this video will benefit from it. I hope you have an excellent day. I'd love to come back to the event one day when I feel ready, and I will see you again very soon. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. See you later.